Okay, so yesterday we learned till what about the Git and what exactly the advantages of Git. Okay, so today we go deep and we'll just try to learn some basic commands with the Git, what they does and how Git is able to manage the repositories and all. So those concepts we'll cover it today. Yeah, and we'll close the Git topic today. Okay. So let me start with GitHub. So yesterday, when we are discussing about the example which we discussed about Git, you might remember them. Okay, so like we know what what is Git now. So we wanted to discuss about GitHub. So we'll start with the same example, whatever I have left yesterday. Okay, so there was a man hired for keeping all the records for the writers, those two writers, right? So he needs a place, an environment where he will do all the tracking of work, right? And everyone can visit and make changes whenever they want. So that, similar to that man, we have Git, right? Git was taking care of all things, whatever the man is taking care of now, right? So but where he needs a place, right? That is called a repository, and Git needs a place to host the repository. Okay, so host a repository or workplace for everyone. So yeah, we have a thing like GitHub. Okay, GitHub. So where we create all these repository, we create all this. So it has some, workplace kind of thing, and it has some huge space. Okay, that where we can utilize that, and we can create our own repositories in GitHub. So how it does, right? Let's see. So there are two ways that you can host your repository. Okay, you can do it on the cloud. Okay, and the second one, you can still do the same Git repo in your local. When I say local, it is in your system, like it is offline. Okay. Yeah, most of the times actually internal companies, they use their own Git servers. Okay, so it is not connected to the external Git hub, like whatever we have it outside of the companies, so it won't connect. So we do generally have our own Git servers. Okay, so there all these GitHub related things get installed, and we utilize them. All the benefits of that GitHub, and creating repositories. We utilize that in the internal to that company itself. Okay, so somehow we say that it is an offline network, but yeah, it is still a cloud storage only. Okay, so yeah, GitHub is owned by Microsoft. Okay, so it helps every team member to work together on the project from anywhere, and makes it easy for them to collaborate. So this kind of concept, right, like having a repo at cloud, or having a repo at your server, so you can easily collaborate with your the entire team who is working on that project. Okay, and GitHub helps all the team members to stay on the same page and stay organized, right? So we will see what exactly it is in the next slides. Okay, yeah, two ways to host your repositories. One is online, and one and the cloud, and one is self installed on your server. Second is offline, right? So yeah, so that's what we discussed. Okay, let me but you might get right, like now you know that GitHub allows you to create, keep local and remote copies of your project, but a project that you can publish it among your team members, as they can use it and update it from there itself. Okay, And you know, like why this Git is popular? Because this was the largest shared repository in the entire, you know, in the entire world. Actually, we have 25 million users, you know, they use it for Git. Okay. So which is actually like, you know, one of the population to equal to country. Okay. So it is world's largest software development platform, you know, the Git. Okay. That's why it is very popular. Okay. So, you know, okay, so more details about GitHub. Putting your project to shared public repository makes it instantly discoverable for those 25 million users. Okay, GitHub provides simply unmatched exposure and insights compared to any other platform. So that's why it is very popular. Okay, so and you can easily discover the code written by others, learn from it, and even use it for your own projects. It's of open source, so yeah, we do have private related, you know, you can also make your git code as private, like, you know, only you can see and you can access with the with kind of a password protected. Yeah, but it mostly available only for the, you know, what do we say, the premium users. Yeah, something else. Okay, I'll tell that. Okay, but you know, it is available, like, you know, you can still stop you know, other user to not to see your code. Yeah, you can still stop it. Okay, so how the best version control? So version control on GitHub are very similar to MS Office and, you know, the Google Drive. Okay, so it tracks all the changes or updates made to your project and who makes them. Okay, so generally in MS Office also we have this shared platform for editing Word, Excel, and, you know, the other things like PowerPoint, right? You know, we do have a shared platform. So when if it is in, you know, if it is for a team, actually this MS Office and you know, Google Drive also captures who edited it and, you know, who last from the, you know, starting of the document upload, you know, and, you know, till that point, you know, it is going to keep track all the changes that was done by done on the document. Okay, so similarly, you know, GitHub is also capable enough, you know, to track all those changes, updates made by your project, or, you know, and who makes them, right? You know, it was important actually. You can always check the detailed change log that neatly hosts all the relevant information from the Git. Okay, so it's very small concept, but yeah, GitHub allows us to keep both local and remote copies of your project. Okay, and a project can that you can publish among your team. Okay, team members, as they can use it and update it from from there itself. Okay, so GitHub enables that. So version control on GitHub. So I already mentioned this. So just let's go to the next topic. Okay, so how to install, right? You know, this one, just, you know, it is very quick and very easy. Okay, just follow these 4 steps. I think, you know, you'll it is ready. You know, the Git will be installed in your local. Okay, so go to desktop.github.com and, you know, click download on Windows. Okay, 64-bit, or, you know, whatever the laptop that you use. But, you know, I just gave only the 64-bit for Windows, so you can use for Mac, anything. Okay, you can just get the required file and download it. Okay, yeah, and installation is also very quick, so you can just click next, next, next. That's it. Yeah. So okay, let me come back. You know, so now there is a new question, right? Okay, so what is um, we will go for the repository. So we'll So, you know, right, you know, we hired a Dave, okay, so to keep all the records of changes made by script writers, right? So, but where he is going to store those records? So he needs a place, right, you know, for everything. So let's jump to the repository. How a repository is created. Okay, so repository is nothing but a storage area. Okay, so that you can store something and you can utilize whenever you want, right? So, okay, so you already know that a Git repository is a virtual storage of your project. Okay, and it allows to save versions of your code which you can access whenever you need it, right? So, like I can say one thing, if you have a very big team and you are maintaining a Git repo, and if you have multiple releases coming in, okay, so you guys start working on those Git repositories. You can like create a future, and you from a future you create a new branch which is exclusively for yourself, to update all the changes. So yeah, so that part, like how we are going to create it. So what kind of command we uses, for all the steps, starting from creating a repository to you know uh, commit and push the files, right? We'll just see with one by one command now. Okay, so how to create a repo, right? We will use git init command. Okay, is a one-time command you use during initial setup of a repository, new repository. But executing this command will create a new .git in your directory. Okay, so yeah, so just a very small topic. Okay, git init command, it is used for one-time command which is used to create a repository. First time, okay, a new repository in your folder. Okay, so and it also creates a .git file in your directory. Okay, so now let's see how to clone, right? Why we require a clone. Okay, clone the repository. Okay, so when you create a branch, right? When you have a new branch, okay, your code in the GitHub. So you generally don't change directly on, on the GitHub repository, current branch, right? You just clone it, the same similar replica of that GitHub, sorry, Git repo will be present in your local. Okay, so that you can do some changes and you can perform something, right? So I just mentioned the same thing. You got your virtual storage or repository ready, and you know how it's done. And what if you want the same repository on your local computer? So repository can be cloned just like the YouTube video. You can download it to watch it when you're offline, right? So same way you can just clone it and you can use it offline. Okay, you can do a lot of changes. So how to clone this, right? So there are two steps. First, to clone a repository, go to the repository page which you want to clone, press clone or download button, or copy the URL that appears after pressing the button. So don't worry, I'm going to show you all these, in the, when we go and discuss with an example, when we comment our code, I'm going to show that. Okay, not now, later. But yeah, for now, just remember these steps, how to clone it. Okay, the step two, yeah, just copy that. You already copied that URL and use this command git clone and URL, right? Then when you click enter, yeah, it is going to start cloning that repository to the current directory where you executed this command. But you know that, right? When we, if we are discussing about the commands, so where do we use these commands, right? So we do have a git bash. Okay, so which is a command line prompt, okay, for Windows. So it allows users to type the git commands, like whatever you learn now, git init and git clone. Okay, so there are a lot of commands that you are going to see. Okay, so all those commands can be run in the git bash. Okay, so these are very easy commands. Okay, let me go to the next. Okay, So what is this, right? This is a working tree. Okay. Oops. Working tree. So the name itself tells, right, what it means. Working tree is the area where you are currently working. That means, you're local, right? So it is where your files live. Okay. And the area is also known as untracked area of Git. Okay. So when you like, you might have seen it, but I'll show you when we are going with an example later. So there will be one untracked changes kind of thing. It always displays when we open the Eclipse, okay, in the Git perspective. And there are few Git staging kind of, there is a tab, there is a view available. So when you open that Git staging, actually you will see first in the first text box, or first box. Okay, there are a lot of on-track changes. Okay, so all those things, right? I'll show you, like, when we go there. But yeah, for now, just take it as like, there are this is the area that you are currently working on it, right? In your local. Okay, so what commands, right? So what commands that help us to identify what are all the changes that I have done, and what are all files updated and seeing in this work tree. Okay, so what command that we need to use, right? So that is we use git status. Okay, git status will help us, okay, to give yeah, so the git status will give us what are all the files which are modified, and untracked changes also it usually displays, right? So the files in your work tree and the files in your staging area, this is going to show when you click the git status. Okay. Okay, what is staging area, right? That's what I'm gonna tell you. When you go to the Eclipse and check, there is a git staging area available. So what is this, right? So now you remember Dave. Okay, just go back to that example. I'll try to explain that staging, and we'll come back to the GitHub again. Okay, so the man hired by the script writers, team for keeping changes, the records and updates and changes made, right? So one day the Bob script writer made some changes in the script, or updated the script. Okay, so now any of the script writer wants to specially see the changed part of the script. So what are they gonna do, right? So let's say, see, he has modified couple of things. So he wanted to check which file was modified. Okay. So that problem will be resolved by the staging area. So staging area will hold all the changed files. Okay. And untracked files. Okay. It is going to hold it. Okay. So the staging area comes into the picture when Git start tracking and saving changes that occurs in files. Okay. That is the area that is about, when it comes to the staging area. Okay. So you tell Git that I wanted to track these specific files, then Git moves them from your working tree to staging area. Okay, that you got my point, right? Like, you are just wanted to, you're just telling that Git, okay, you track these changes. Okay, you track these changes. That means it is ready for push or something, like you wanted to commit them. Okay, so you're telling that Git, okay, so I'm going to commit in future these files. You start tracking them. So that's why it moves to the staging area. Okay, yeah, working tree and the untracked changes. Okay, untracked area of Git. Okay, and the git bash command, right? Command line prompt. Okay, where you run all those source code related commands. Okay, in the git bash. Okay, let us go to quickly for next topic, commit. Okay, on GitHub. Okay, so you have files in staging now, right? So the next step is when you have in the staging, okay, you have to commit those files, okay, first, and then you can push it to the remote repository, to merge, sorry, to one second. Yeah, to push the changes to the GitHub repository. Okay, till now it is all there in your local yeah, till now it is all there in your local, right? Local repo. So you have to push them, right? Before pushing it, actually, you have to commit the files. Okay. So on GitHub, save changes are called commits. Okay. So each commit has an associated commit message so that you can easily identify why we have committed this and what are all the changes that they have made. Okay, so the commit messages captures the history of your changes so other contributors can understand what you have done and why you have done it. Okay, so I guess you are aware of the word commit. Okay, so the commit command is basically used to save your changes to the local repository. Okay, so they are the core building blocks units of a Git project timeline. Okay, so you completed your coding, right? That is your the critical one. Okay, you can think of commits as snapshots or milestones along the timeline of your Git project. Okay, so generally we follow agile, and we follow those commits and these things from the agile itself. So like we do have boards, where do we create stories and all, right? So when you create a story, and if you want to create a branch, so we usually do it from the same story we use to create those branches, and we start work. So So in that way, when you are committing something, you can just treat that committing, okay, commits as a snapshots. You are aware of snapshots, right? Like, the exact replica of, whatever you have done, it is a snapshot kind of thing. Okay. So snapshots are basically used, when you are using two servers, if you want to sync from one server to another server. So generally there is a methodology, like we use snapshot to copy and sync the one server files to another for another server's files. Okay, so you can think about that commits. Okay, they are created with the git commit, okay, command to capture the state of project, okay, at that point in time. Okay, you should know that git snapshots are always committed to the local repository. Okay, so there are two important commit commands. One is git commit and one is git add. So when you use them, right, now you are ready to save a copy of the current state of project. You make changes with git add. Okay, you have a new change. Okay, so you wanted to add them first. Okay, and you use the command git add. Then, okay, after you're satisfied with the made snapshot, you commit it to the project history with git commit. Okay, so you learned about GitHub saves changes or called commits, and each commit has an associated commit message. Okay, which is having a very good description for the commit, and you can think commits as snapshots. Okay, so like this snapshot is having all the changes of yours. Okay, and you can push you can use the command git add for it, and then you can click you can use git commit for committing all the current state of your project to remote repo. Okay, okay, what is a remote repository, right? So till now you're just using some commands to connect this repository. Right, a remote repository comes into rescue. A remote repository is in the Git is a common repository that all team members use to exchange their changes. Okay, so every member can access the repo, and they can make changes whenever they want, right? But there is one thing that we need to remember. Okay, so how they manage, right? Like, how you connect and how you change it, right? It should not be like, it should not be impact any other works, right? Other people work, correct? So how it does, like, let us go more detail in that. In more access, such a repository is stored on code hosting service like GitHub. Okay, yeah, that we already discussed about it. Okay, so we have been working only in the local repository. Okay, and each developer will work in their local repo, but eventually they will push all the code to the remote repository, right? Generally everybody start working on their own. Okay, in the own cloned repo. Okay, uh, workspace. So they will start working on that, and then once everything is done, they usually push that back to the remote repository. Okay, once the code is in the remote repository, other developers can see and modify that code. Okay, yeah. So I hope you remember how to create a new repository in GitHub. Okay, so it is like, right, get in it. Okay, now you have a local repository but wanted to convert into a remote repository. So what you do, right? So for this also we have a command that we need to run it in the git bash. Okay, so after creating a repository on GitHub, you will get a URL. Okay, for your repository, copy that URL, and now to point your local repository to the remote repository, use the following command: git remote add origin and that repository URL. That's it. So it will point to the remote repo. Okay, so now let us come to the next topic: git push. Okay, what is push? Okay, so the code changes, whatever you have done. Okay, it is still there with your in the local repository, and you are already committed it. Okay, so you already committed it by this time, right? So into the remote repository, use, if you want to push that changes whatever you committed to the remote repository, you have to you have to give a command to git saying that, okay, git push hyphen u and origin. Okay, so master is kind of the branch name. Okay, so this pushes the code from the master branch in the local repository to the master branch of the remote repository. Okay, so yeah, but in real life, actually, when you're working in your companies, you cannot push directly code to the master branch. Okay, so I just given it as an example, but in real time, actually, we never directly push anything to the master branches. So master branches are auto merged once we have a release. Okay, so yeah, it's just treat it as an example for now. Okay, so let's revise. What are all the commands that we learn? Okay, it is like get remote add origin and git push, sorry. Okay, so get remote add origin is like, if you want to convert your local repository to remote. Okay, so you use that command, and then the second one is like, how to push the changes. We use the push command, okay, in the git bash. Okay, to push all the changes to GitHub repo. Okay, so now let's see the another concept: dispute. Okay, so what is dispute, right? So let's say, if you are working on a project. Okay, so in that, Rob made some changes. Okay, and okay, so this is that example, right? Okay, so Rob made some changes in the script. Okay, and the next day Sam erased those changes to make his new update. Okay, this is going to be a big cause of anger for Rob when he gets to know, right? So how we gonna resolve this problem, right? We have a concept called branching. Okay, so in the Git, right? What is branching? Okay, so let's say you have a main repo saying that some XYZ repo. Okay, and a couple of people are working on that XYZ repo. So it is very safer to, yeah, it is very safer to have a certain, you know couple of duplicate projects, so that these two people can work individually, and then later they can push that to the remote repository, and once it is done, you can copy paste into the exact repo that we use it as a master or something. Okay, so that's how it does. Okay, the branching is branch in general, okay, means either a large or a small division, right? So branching is a practice of creating copies of the programs or objects to work in parallel versions. Yeah, right? That's what I told. Like, if you want to work with a couple of people, and they are working on different items, or different things, so that they can identify, so that they can have a different versions of code. So and also with this branching, you will retain the original code and working branch. Okay, it is already there in the GitHub. Okay, so this will help us, when branching is going to help us, to compare your changes easily with the existing code, right? The master branch or something, it is the existing code. So the future will be compared with that, so you will be able to easily identify what all changes you have done, right? So that's how the branching does. And let me go to the next topic. Okay, one second. Okay, suppose you are working on a project. Okay, you are going to have a bunch of different features or idea in progress. So at any given time, so some of which are ready to go and others which were not, right? So branching exists to help you manage this workflow. Okay, so there are a lot of features that your team is going to work. So with the branches, right, it will be made very easy, like to identify which branch holds which future code. Okay, that you can easily identify with using the naming convention of when you create that branch, right? Okay, so you are doing some changes related to customer, so customer related branch that you are going to create it, okay, on top of existing repo, right? So existing master. So similarly, if you have those things, okay, this Git will help you to properly align or those futures. Okay, and you won't be having any confusions with those branchings. Okay, so creating a branch, how we do, right? That's what I'm telling. Whenever you have some new thing, or new changes comes to your project, so you go with a story creation, and a story creation will be done and it groomed, and then once you have that, the story, from the story itself you can connect to the Git repo to create a branch with the same story name. Okay, so when you create a branch in your project, you are creating an environment where you can try out your new ideas. Okay, so the changes you make on a branch don't affect the main branch, so you are free to experiment and commit changes. Okay, this is also useful when we have multiple people working on a project, right? So each person creates a branch for the future or bug fix they were working on it, and when they are finished they merge it back to the master branch. Yeah, okay, so this is also very small topic, like when we why we go for branching and all, you might understood properly. Okay, so I'm not going to revise it. Okay, so let's see now. Let's go to the next topic. So you have done the changes, right? Now what we need, we need to, like, push those changes to, we already done the changes and we pushed it, and now it is available in your repo. Okay, saying that, okay, I have my changes ready in my repository. Okay, so what if you did some changes in your code repository? So I guess you wanted to, your team members to get notified about it, right? So otherwise there will be some serious issue, like about you not informing them. Okay, so but you're really going to mail them or text them, about the changes you made? No, not required. So there is a concept called pull request, okay, that we do. So the pull request means, like, when it comes to the picture, okay, so you are, like, taking care of one of the activity. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, pull request or a mechanism for a developer to notify the team members that, you already have made some changes into the current working future. Okay, so it will send an email, auto email, and this pull request is also very important, to push the code back to the main repository. So the pull request will, ask for, it has something that you can provide some approvers. Okay, approver names, so that those people can approve your pull request. And that means approval means, like, it's just like, to come, to go through your code, kind of a code review that we do. Okay, and if the code looks good, and if it is satisfying with the code, sorry, with the future that we are working on, yeah, then every, they can approve that commit, like, that push, sorry, that pull request. Okay, once you approve it, okay, so there will be a build job which runs. Okay, so that we will see it, okay, when we go to the GitLab. Okay, this lets everybody involved, and they know that they need to review the code and merge it into the master branch. So that is the next step that we do, merge. Okay, so yeah, I just added this discussion room because the pull request is more than just a notification. Okay, it's need a kind of discussion room, okay, for discussing the changes made. Okay, if there are any problems with the changes, teammates can post a feedback in the pull request itself. Okay, and even improve the future, pushing follow-up commits. Okay, so if you have something that you don't require, you don't like, the changes whatever we have done in the, in that, and the followed methodology might be different person to person. Okay, so if you are saying that, if you are going with these things, we might have some issue. So you can recommend that changes to them, like, to do, a different kind of programming, not this one. So yeah, that leads to be, multiple commits and multiple pushes, until unless you get your final product, right? So that you can do it. Okay, so that is why, pull request is very important. Like, people have to talk, and people have to review the code whatever you have done, so that will go with very less bugs to production. Okay, what actually happens, right, when you file a pull request? Okay, you are requesting that another developer pulls a branch from your repository into their repository. Okay, that means the changes of whatever you made it on the current repo, so which is earlier, this repo was pulled by, from some place, right? So you are pushing back everything to that branch. Okay, and asking them, like, my branch code is done. Okay, and it is unit tested, and I have already tested in, and then it is working fine in my local workspace. So you say that, and you are creating a pull request to merge this entire code with your master branch or with your branch. Okay, so if you couple of people are working, if they have dependency on you, then yes, yeah. So you can just intimate them with this, and they can start working on it, right? So yeah. So what we need to consider, you need to provide four pieces of information to file a pull request. One is source repository and source branch, okay, and destination repository and destination branch. Okay, these four details, will help us, to push the code from which source repo to which destination repo. Okay, so yeah, this is the same thing. I'm just wanted to repeat it. Okay, let's go for the next topic. Okay. Okay, so one second. So now I know you might know how combining something to form a single entity is what merge means. Okay, so till now you learned only till commit part, and you have created a pull request. Okay, and pull request is having couple of stages. One is approval and one is merge. What is this merge, right? We were talking about different branches that you are going to have different code, but who will combine it? This git merge is going to do that operation. So in git merging, is a way that put different history back together again. Okay, so the git merge command allows you to take the independent lines of development created by branch and integrate them to a single branch. Okay, so what I'm saying, you have a master branch, and I have done some coding, and my colleague has done some coding, and everybody push that code to get repos their own branches, and from there they created a pull request, okay, to master branch, saying that okay, my code is ready, and it is already unit tested, and it is working fine, so you are good to merge these changes to the local uh, to merge these changes to the master branch. Okay, so that merge, okay, will be taken care by git. Okay, so it is going to pull out all your changes, and it is going to merge to the the latest repository. Okay, to be more specific, actually, merging takes the contents of a source branch and integrates them with a target branch. So that's what I'm trying to say. Source branch is your branch, target branch is the master branch. Okay, and the source branch history remains the same in this process, only the target branch is changed, right? So because the changes are already there in the in the small the local branch, whatever you're working on, but the target branch will be changed. So git merge will combine multiple sequences of commits into one unified history. Okay, and in most of the free, in the most frequent use cases, okay, git merge is used to combine two branches. Okay, that's very simple. Like you are just merging it. Okay, merge takes two commit pointers, usually the branch tips, and will find a common base commit between them. Okay, and once git finds a common base commit, it will create a new merge commit that combines the changes of each queued merge commit sequence. Okay, so I'll show you what exactly this is like. When you are committing multiple people. Okay, so when we have multiple commits, okay, in future I'll show you what exactly this is. Okay, for now, just get that understanding of the theory. Okay, so this is what we learned, okay, for the git merge, okay, and let's see all the commands, okay, and usages, very quickly. Okay, we already run the, we already have some commands, we already used it now, okay. Okay, these commands, right, this command sets the author name, okay, to be used when when you are committing. So git config hyphen global user dot name and your name. Okay, so the same way email address also, it is used for when you commit some code to the git, right? Okay, so git clone, I think you already learned about it. Git clone is a git extend git command line utility which is used to target and existing repository and create a clone or a copy of the target repository in your local system. Okay, so yeah, git add. I think you already aware, like if you want to add something to the staging, so we use add file. Okay, the untracked changes will be start tracking by git repo with this command, right? So, and the git init repo name, so which is initially, if you want to create a initial you know uh, repository, so you use this git init command. Okay, okay, so I just given that commands again, commit. So git commit, okay, we already learned about it, what it does. Okay, and the reset command. Okay, so reset command is the one which we did not learn, right? The git reset is a powerful command that is used to undo the local changes, okay, to the state. So you did something wrong when you are doing for one of the future code. So you don't know, like you don't want to delete everything, so you just wanted to roll back the complete changes. So you can use the git reset command, and it will replace all the files from the get repo. Okay, so it is going to replace everything. So that's how git reset works. Okay, git checkout. Okay, when you wanted to check out a branch, okay, so you can use the git checkout you know using couple of things. Okay, git checkout and the branch name. Okay, switching between one branch to another branch, it will help you to check out the code. Okay, and if you don't have a new branch, actually you can use -b. It is going to create a new branch, and it is going to copy the existing code into that. Okay, yeah, I think that's all. Okay, that's all the commands whatever I wanted to discuss. Okay, but git. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we're good to end this session for today. Okay, so thanks. Okay, in that case, yeah, we can wind up, okay, for the today's session. So we'll meet on Monday evening. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna share it. Okay, you will be okay. We'll be having that in the. Yeah, I'll be sharing with the these people. The and they will share it with you, or else and I can copy. I'll push it. I'll share it in the WhatsApp. Okay, WhatsApp group. Thank you. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, thanks all.